administration demands and has a right to demand, and not fighting these local judges who don't make decisions based on the law. They make decisions because they just simply don't agree with the administration's decision about a policy, and that's wrong.
All right, you have been listening to a live news briefing from President Trump and his staff there. The president reacting to the Supreme Court rulings today. The Supreme Court limiting lower courts' ability to issue nationwide injunctions. President Trump calling the ruling on birthright citizenship a monumental win. We'll have much more coming up on the news at noon. It's 11:59.
Selling and buying a home doesn't have to be a juggling act. With Orchard, you get cash up front to buy your next place, then more cash when your old home sells. Start with a free home valuation at Orchard.com. That's Orchard.com.
Only inches separate you from the heavy rain trying to infiltrate your home. If your old roof is leaking, think of Findlay First for a remarkable roof replacement. Schedule a free roof analysis. FindlayRoofing.com.
This is Scott Slade, and nothing takes the place of time when it comes to spotting problems with your health, especially cancer. The earlier the better. That's where virtual imaging comes in. Virtual imaging's LDCT body scan can be invaluable, giving you more time for you and your loved ones to take charge of your health. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. Due to overwhelming demand for a limited time, their $995 core body scan offer has been extended. It's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual Imaging has gotten such great response to this offer that they've opened up more times in both offices, but appointments will fill up fast, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your virtual imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
News, weather,
Traffic.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 12 o'clock on this Friday, June 27th. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. The news here at noon is sponsored by Jim Ellis Automotive. Breaking news, major rulings from the U.S. Supreme Court today, and President Trump reacting.
This was a colossal abuse of power which never occurred in American history prior to recent decades, and we've been hit with more nationwide injunctions than were issued in the entire 20th century.
You just heard the briefing live here on WSB from the White House briefing room. So what were those rulings from the Supreme Court?
CBS News special report. The Supreme Court has issued a flurry of decisions. It ruled individual judges cannot grant nationwide injunctions like the one that blocked President Trump's order banning birthright citizenship. Former Deputy Assistant Attorney General Tom Dupree.
You basically have to file either a class action lawsuit or just a lot of individual lawsuits. So there is still the possibility of getting an order of this scope, but the Supreme Court made it far more difficult to do so.
The court also upheld the Texas law requiring age verification on pornographic websites, and it ruled Maryland parents can pull their children from lessons with LGBTQ storybooks. CBS's Jan Crawford.
Initially, it kind of been presented as, this is just LGBTQ characters and themes. But some of the books, the justices suggested oral argument go way beyond that and actually indoctrinate kids to believe, they said, that you get to pick your gender.
CBS News special report. I'm Michael Wallace.
And we wanted to dive a little bit deeper into the Supreme Court's upholding of that Texas law that required pornographic websites to verify whether a user is over the age of 18. They have to do that by submitting a government-issued identification like a driver's license. That ruling came in at 6-3. And there's a similar law that was passed here in Georgia last year. That law is scheduled to take effect next week. Georgia lawmakers say that the measure is needed to protect children here in Georgia from explicit content. Opponents, though, say these laws infringe on privacy rights of adults. All right, your weather for today. Well, it's going to be warm again. Not quite as warm as it has been, though. Highs around 92. We do have a chance of those late-day showers and storms, says Channel 2 Action News meteorologist Brad Nitz. He'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast. That's the 5-day forecast coming your way at 12:05. This is new at noon. Atlanta police investigating a deadly hit-and-run that happened in front of Piedmont Hospital.
Responding officers arrived to find a man lying in the middle of Peachtree Road. He was pronounced dead by medical personnel. The driver of a white Nissan Maxima did not stop initially. He pulled into a parking lot a few blocks away. Witnesses say the male driver and a female passenger then took off on foot. Atlanta police say they are now looking for those two individuals. Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
Also new since Atlanta's Morning News, 2 suspects now facing charges this afternoon after a recent shooting in Norcross. It left a man dead and a bystander with some injuries. The Gwinnett County Police Department tells us that 33-year-old Demetrius Bush of Marietta and 28-year-old Jahari Foster of Stockbridge are both now charged with murder. Gwinnett Police Corporal Juan Madiedo says they're still trying to figure out, though, an exact motive.
It seems that something happened, some type of disagreement occurred. They haven't told if there's drug involved, gang involved, nothing like that.
It happened at the Horizon Inn and Suites on Dawson Boulevard, just off Jimmy Carter Boulevard. The victim, identified as 29-year-old Andre Jones, a woman nearby, was shot in the leg. There was a fire this morning at the Jersey Mike's on Holly Springs Parkway. If you're headed there for lunch, Battalion Chief Michael Sims with Cherokee Fire telling us.
Firefighters arrived on scene. There had been a fire that was contained to the grill and the hood vent. Workers there at the scene said they were cooking bacon when a grease fire started.
He says there were no injuries. That fire was put out quickly. Happening today, more than 700 kids from across the metro area are gathering at the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center for a community building event with first responders. Erica Collins with the Atlanta Police Foundation says the At Promise Field Day gives the city's kids the chance to build relationships with those that serve in their communities.
With them being engaged with them and being in an atmosphere where the young people are comfortable, where they're playing games, it's going to be very important for the young people and the law enforcement to connect here to where when they leave this place, it'll be more safe.
Now, she says this is their 6th annual event, and many participants, she tells us, ends up considering future careers in law enforcement. And let's talk about your money. Consumer spending slowed in May. Government figures today show personal spending fell 0.1% after rising slightly in April. Americans spent less on things like cars, hotels, and restaurants last month, with gas stations also reporting a big decline in sales, and that was mainly due to lower oil prices. Analysts say that many consumers are pulling back on spending because of uncertainty over trade wars and a softening job market. Let's take a look at your money now. The Dow is currently up 484 at 43,871. So the Dow's up more than a full percent. NASDAQ is up more than 0.5%, and so is the S&P. It's time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the WSB 24-hour traffic center. How are we doing on the roads this lunch hour?
Not too bad right now, Sabrina. We are seeing some volume if you're making your way through the Midtown or downtown area for the lunch hour on this Friday. 85 southbound slowing a little bit before 17th Street with that merging madness coming on from 75 south as you try to head down to North Avenue. On the West Freeway, I-20 eastbound crash still on the left shoulder, 20 eastbound past Riverside Parkway exit 46, causing some brake lights from Thornton Road. And we had a crash 85 southbound in Duluth right around Highway 316. It was quickly moved to the left, or the right shoulder, I should say. Still seeing a few brake lights south of there as you head down toward Norcross. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
And it's time now for Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast, sponsored by Shoemate, the official air conditioning of Atlanta.
Showers and thunderstorms through the afternoon and evening will be scattered but intense in spots. We're headed to the low 90s away from the wet weather. Saturday, low 73, high 91 with scattered storms again, afternoon and evening. Saturday's rain chance 60%. About the same for Sunday, low 72, high 91. Now my 5-day forecast for Monday and Tuesday, high 90 Monday, afternoon and evening storms continue. The coverage and the cloud cover increases for Tuesday. That'll hold our high down to 89. I'm Channel 2 Action News Chief Meteorologist Brad Nitz, 95.5 WSB.
All right, we'll have more news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
I would like to report a murder. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number is 877-973-7425. I apparently had a cable not completely plugged into my computer, causing a buzz. If you're wondering what was that B, it was me. It was the audio cable. Y'all, I would like to report a murder. I have never seen anything like this in all of my time as a lawyer and as someone who has studied the Supreme Court. Amy Coney Barrett, we'll call it a Barrett slap, if you will, slapped down Ketanji Brown Jackson, the dim-witted Biden appointee to the Supreme Court. I'm just going to read this. So the universal injunction case has come out. Every single person on the planet who is a legal scholar expected this to be a Chief Justice John Roberts opinion. And it was not a Chief Justice John Roberts opinion. It was an Amy Coney Barrett opinion, and she beat down Ketanji Brown Jackson in ways I have not seen happen on the Supreme Court. I'm just going to read for you. I'm just going to read this before we get into the meat of the decision. The principal dissent by Sonia Sotomayor focuses on conventional legal terrain like the Judiciary Act of 1789 and our cases on equity. Justice Jackson, however, chooses a startling line of attack that is tethered neither to these sources nor, frankly, to any doctrine whatsoever, waving away attention to the limits on judicial power as a mind-numbingly technical query. She offers a vision of the judicial role that would make even the most ardent defenders of judicial supremacy blush. In her telling, the fundamental role of courts is to order everyone, including the executive, to follow the law, full stop. The function of the courts, both in theory and in practice, necessarily includes announcing what the law requires in suits for the benefit of all who are protected by the Constitution, not merely doling out relief to injured private parties, she writes. And she warns if courts lack the power to require the executive to adhere to law universally, courts will leave a gash in the basic tenets of our founding charter that could turn out to be a mortal wound. Rhetoric aside, Justice Jackson's position is difficult to pin down. She might be arguing that universal injunctions are appropriate, even required, whenever the defendant is part of the executive branch. If so, her position goes far beyond the mainstream defense of universal injunctions. At best we can tell, though, her argument is more extreme still because its logic does not depend on the entry of a universal injunction. Justice Jackson appears to believe that the reasoning behind any court order demands universal adherence, at least where the executive is concerned. In her law-declaring vision of the judicial function, a district court's opinion is not just persuasive, but has the legal force of a judgment. Once a single district court deems executive conduct unlawful, it has stated what the law requires, and the executive must conform to this view, ceasing its enforcement of the law against anyone, anywhere. Think about what this position means. If a judge in the District of Alaska holds that a criminal statute is unconstitutional, can the United States prosecute a defendant under the statute in the District of Maryland? Perhaps Justice Jackson would instinctively say yes. It is hard to imagine anyone saying no. But why, on Justice Jackson's logic, does it not violate the rule of law for the executive to initiate a prosecution elsewhere? Among its many problems, Justice Jackson's view is at odds with our system of divided judicial authority. It is also in considerable tension with the reality that district court opinions lack precedential force, even vis-a-vis other judges in the same judicial district. We will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself. We observe only this. Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary. No one disputes that the executive has a duty to follow the law, but the judiciary does not have unbridled authority to enforce this obligation. In fact, sometimes the law prohibits the judiciary from doing so. And guess which case she cites? The very first case you learn in constitutional law. Marbury versus Madison from 1803, concluding that James Madison had violated the law but held the court lacked jurisdiction to issue a writ of mandamus ordering him to follow it. Observing the limits of judicial authority, including, as relevant here, the boundaries of the Judiciary Act of 1789, is required by a judge's oath to follow the law. Justice Jackson skips over that part, because analyzing the governing statute involves boring legalese. She seeks to answer a far more basic question of enormous practical significance. May a federal court in the United States of America order the executive to follow the law? In other words, it is unnecessary to consider whether Congress has constrained the judiciary. What matters is how the judiciary may constrain the executive. Justice Jackson would do well to heed her own admonition. Everyone from the president on down is bound by the law. That goes for judges too. Y'all, I have, honest to goodness, I'm sure it has happened. I have never seen a beatdown of a justice of the Supreme Court by another justice of the Supreme Court. It is staggering. What is also very interesting is that Amy Coney Barrett twists the knife on Sonia Sotomayor. There are multiple pages in this opinion where, when she's explaining the concepts that they are embracing as a majority, she cites dissenting opinions of Sonia Sotomayor. Yeah, you gotta understand that there are points in this opinion where she cites cases and says, "See dissent of Justice Sotomayor." I mean, that Chief Justice Roberts allowed Amy Coney Barrett to write this case is just a remarkable confidence in her and her abilities. And also, it's notable as well because it's a little bit, I think, a little bit of a needling of MAGA by the Supreme Court that has regularly attacked Amy Coney Barrett. And today, she's giving Donald Trump what he wants. She's giving Donald Trump a massive, massive judicial win, not on birthright citizenship. The court did not actually answer the question of birthright citizenship. The court gave him restraint on universal injunctions, which is what he has wanted, and he recognized it at the White House a short time ago.
This morning, the Supreme Court has delivered a monumental victory for the Constitution, the separation of powers, and the rule of law in striking down the excessive use of nationwide injunctions to interfere with the normal functioning of the executive branch. The Supreme Court has stopped the presidency itself. That's what they've done. And really, it's been an amazing period of time this last hour. There are people elated all over the country. I've seen such happiness and spirit. Sometimes you don't see that, but this case is very important. I was elected on a historic mandate, but in recent months we've seen a handful of radical left judges effectively try to overrule the rightful powers of the president to stop the American people from getting the policies that they voted for in record numbers. It was a grave threat to democracy, frankly, and instead of merely ruling on the immediate cases before them, these judges have attempted to dictate the law for the entire nation. In practice, this meant that if any one of the nearly 700 federal judges disagreed with the policy of a duly elected president of the United States, he or she could block that policy from going into effect or at least delay it for many years, tie it up in the court system. This was a colossal abuse of power which never occurred in American history prior to recent decades. And we've been hit with more nationwide injunctions than were issued in the entire 20th century together. Think of it, more than the entire 20th century, me. I'm grateful to the Supreme Court for stepping in and solving this very, very big and complex problem, and they've made it very simple. I want to thank Justice Barrett, who wrote the opinion brilliantly, as well as Chief Justice Roberts, and Justices Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Thomas. Great people.
Great people, he says. Wait. You know what? You know what they all have in common? Wait for it. This is important. What do all the justices other than Roberts have in common? They were Federalist Society picks to the United States Supreme Court. Donald Trump should be thanking Leonard Leo, having criticized him, and all of you morons who are 30 feet above the runway who decided to attack Amy Coney Barrett, you really are idiots at the back of a short bus, a very short bus. Shame on you. You got so whipped into tribal virtue signaling, Amy Coney Barrett, she's so terrible, she's a liberal. She just gave you the big win you wanted, and she's given you lots of big wins that you have wanted. You mind-numb automatons who have people stick their arms up your backsides like Muppets and bang out on the keyboard all the tribal talking points against her. She just gave you the win you've been wanting, you idiots. You should take it. Donald Trump just thanked her and said how good she was, so suck it up, Buttercup. He's praising Amy Coney Barrett. You can too, instead of being a little moron seal clapper out there attacking a woman who's given you massive, massive, massive wins. Neither the universal injunction nor any analogous form of relief was available in the High Chancery and Court in England at the time of the founding. Equity offered a mechanism for the Crown to secure justice where it would not be secured by the ordinary and equitable process of the law. This judicial prerogative of the king thus extended to those cases which the ordinary judges were incapable of determining. Eventually, the Crown instituted the practice of delegating the cases that came before the judicial prerogative to the Chancellor for a sole decision. This became the common mode of deciding such controversies. Of importance here, suits in equity were brought by and against individual parties. As she begins to outline the history of the universal injunction. Nor did founding-era courts of equity in the United States chart a different course. If anything, the approach traditionally taken by federal courts cut against the existence of such a sweeping remedy. Consider Scott versus Donald, where the plaintiff successfully challenged the constitutionality of a law on which state officials had relied to confiscate alcohol that the plaintiff kept for personal use. Although the plaintiff sought an injunction barring enforcement of the law against both himself and anyone else whose rights were infringed and threatened by it, the court permitted only a narrow decree between the parties named in the bill. In the ensuing decades, we consistently rebuffed requests for relief that extended beyond the parties. Our early refusals to grant relief to non-parties are consistent with the party-specific principles that permeate our understanding of equity. In fact, universal injunctions were not a feature of federal court litigation until sometime in the 20th century. The D.C. Circuit issued what some regard as the first universal injunction in 1963. Yet such injunctions remained rare until the turn of the 21st century, when their use gradually accelerated. One study identified approximately 127 universal injunctions between 1963 and 2023. 96 of them, over three-quarters, were issued during the administrations of Presidents George W. Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden. The bottom line, the universal injunction was conspicuously non-existent for most of our nation's history. Its absence from 19th and 18th century equity practice settles the question of judicial authority. That the absence continued into the 20th century renders any claim of historical pedigree still more implausible. Even during the deluge of constitutional litigation that occurred in the wake of Ex parte Young, throughout the Lochner era and at the dawn of the New Deal, universal injunctions were nowhere to be found. Had federal courts believed themselves to possess the tools, surely they would not have let it lay idle. Faced with this timeline, the principal dissent from Justice Sotomayor accuses us of misunderstanding the nature of equity as being frozen in amber at the time of the Judiciary Act. Not so. We said it before and say it again. Equity is flexible. At the same time, its flexibility is confined within the broad boundaries of traditional equitable relief. As a result, universal injunctions lack historic pedigree and fall outside the bounds of a federal court's equitable authority under the Judiciary Act of 1789. That would be the law that established the federal judiciary at the founding of the Republic.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
1221 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Police have arrived on scene of this crash on the West Freeway. They're blocking the left lane. 20 eastbound past Riverside Parkway, exit 46. You're slow back to Thornton Road coming out of Lithia Springs there. If you're traveling downtown, 7585 northbound, just some light volume. Highway 166 Langford Parkway up past Freedom Parkway. Southbound slowed through Midtown trying to get into downtown. Traffic brought to you by Sam's Club. Ready for some locked-in summer value at Sam's Club till July 22nd. Prices are held on over 1,000 items, including summer must-haves like ice cream. Sign up for a membership and join at samsclub.com/join. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
You're by the pool.
You're relaxing.
You're sipping a drink.
Someone brings you a towel.
Adjust the umbrella.
Sound like a fantasy?
It's not if you win $1,000 from WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursdays next Thursday.
Listen for the keyword at 9, 10, and 11 a.m. and 12, 1, 2, and 3 p.m.
Enter the keyword at WSBradio.com or the WSB app within that hour, and you could win $1,000. Get all the info at WSBradio.com.
$1,000 Thursdays
from 95.5 WSB,
where Atlanta wins.
The Love Your Home Minute from TE Certified. Hi, it's Chris Chandler with Josh, the local owner of TE Certified Electrical, Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. You know Josh, that's him you see jumping out of the back of their trucks. Josh, welcome. What is one of the most popular things that you installed?
Electric vehicle charger.
Yeah?
This is something we do almost every day, and it's one of the nicest things you can do, almost a necessity if you have an electric vehicle. We put these in garages, we put them in carports, we put them outside, we put them inside, and it is so nice to be able to park your car and charge it, especially if you put in a fast charger. So we put in chargers for all sorts of cars. Some are super fun and exotic, and some are super basic. We are Tesla certified. We were one of the first Tesla certified companies in Atlanta, but we also do them for every single brand.
You never know when you're out somewhere where there's going to be one. Having one at home is so important with these vehicles.
Yes, and we can make them happen for almost any house.
All right, great info, Josh. EV chargers sound like a perfect addition to many homes.
TE Certified, we love your home.
I'm consumer investigator Dale Cardwell, and for over a decade, I've trusted America's best choice for windows, doors, siding, and decks.
Spring is the perfect time to update your home, and America's Best Choice makes it easy with these spring specials. Highest quality, energy-efficient windows starting at just $299. Take 10% off a new deck and create the outdoor oasis of your dreams. No pressure, no gimmicks. Visit abcwin.com today to schedule your free consultation.
This is Scott Slade, updating my health story. I get a checkup every year, and last September, my primary care physician was troubled by a suspicious number on my lab work. Well, that led to a diagnosis early enough to give me options, and I'm more optimistic than ever about a good outcome. Now, when we're talking about our health, level with your providers if you think you have a problem. We all need expert eyes looking us over every so often. That's where virtual imaging can be invaluable. Virtual Imaging's LDCT body scan can give you time and options for early treatment, especially for cancer. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. For a limited time, Virtual Imaging is extending their core body scan offer for only $995 per scan. That's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual Imaging has gotten such great response that they've opened up more times in both offices. But appointments will fill up fast for this offer, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your Virtual Imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com. That's virtualimagingatl.com. Do it now, while you still have options.
Take your summer celebration to the next level with a Bullfrog hot tub from Brown's Pools and Spas. Entertain and enjoy your yard with your family like never before. Only Bullfrog offers the Jetpack Therapy System, allowing you to customize each seat to fit every body in your family. Shop our Independence Day hot tub sale now. Instant rebates up to $1,500 or special financing for up to 120 months. Offer ends July 7th. Celebrating over 50 years of BrownsPools.com.
The Guaranteed Offer from Mark Spain Real Estate's the easiest way to sell your home. You can save time, make the most money, and eliminate the hassle this summer. Hi, this is Mark Spain, and our offers are the strongest in the industry. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home and skip the hassle of constant cleaning and costly repairs. There's no showings, no open houses, and no stress. Our guaranteed offer keeps you in control. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing.
When news breaks.
And thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies.
We've got it covered.
There are people elated all over the country.
Tune in often for the latest.
No longer will we have rogue judges striking down President Trump's policies.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's breaking news station.
Welcome back. I want to say something here, and that is great thanks to Leonard Leo. The President of the United States took to social media a month or so ago and took after Leonard Leo and the Federalist Society. But it was those Federalist Society judges that Leonard Leo developed and cultivated over time and got into federal courts that handed Donald Trump that big win today. Now, history shows John Roberts was actually not a Federalist Society pick, but Kavanaugh, Alito, Thomas, Barrett, Gorsuch, Those are all people spearheaded by the Federalist Society and put in front of Republican presidents, including Donald Trump. And but for them, he would not have gotten his win today. There's been a massive effort to malign Amy Coney Barrett because she doesn't give them what they want of her all the time. As I have said repeatedly, to understand Amy Coney Barrett's jurisprudence is to understand pace. She doesn't like to rush into things. She's willing to restrain her own side if she thinks they're rushing. And here today, she's the one who wrote the opinion that has restrained the entire federal judiciary. As she points out in her opinion today on universal injunctions, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, has seen more injunctions filed against him at a universal level than any other president. In fact, more universal injunctions have been imposed on Donald Trump than Bush, Obama, and Biden combined. 40 of them. We're up to 40 of them. In the first 100 days, I think we're at 20-something. Now we're at 40. Amy Coney Barrett restrained the judiciary. None of you will be brave enough to apologize and say you got her wrong. You're just tribalists who, when Donald Trump decided to attack her, you decided to attack her, and today he's singing her praises, so maybe you can as well. And you should note, for the history of the thing, that Leonard Leo and the Federalist Society got you these justices you're all praising today because they made the right decision. Now, if you went to Hillsdale College at ericforhillsdale.com, you could take many classes for free and get a certificate of completion from Hillsdale, and one of those is on the federal judiciary. You can take one on the Constitution and shaping the early republic. You could take one on the history of the republic and the political thought that led to the formation of the Constitution. They're all completely free. You can take classes on capitalism and economics and chemistry and math and literature like C.S. Lewis or Shakespeare. There's so much there you can take, and you never pay a penny. You do it at your own pace. You get a certificate of completion. Every class episode is about 30 minutes long. Depends on the class how many episodes there are. You go to ericforhillsdale.com, E-R-I-C-K. There's got to be a topic you want to get smarter about. Go to ericforhillsdale.com. Click on the catalog tab. You'll see the 40 classes you can take, the range of topics. There's some of the best faculty from Hillsdale College. ericforhillsdale.com. Go check them out today. Sign up with Hillsdale College. Start a relationship with them. You'll never pay a penny. ericforhillsdale.com.
WSB is looking for a home for Flapjack. Chris Chandler here from Atlanta's Morning News, and he is our dog of the month this month. With Paws Atlanta, we're looking for Flapjack's new family. Sweet, about 2 years old, playful but not rambunctious, and something unusual too. Our sponsor, Finley Roofing, will pay the adoption fees. Meet Flapjack, WSBRadio.com/dog.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News, weather,
Traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 12:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Jim Ellis Automotive. President Trump praising the Supreme Court ruling on a case involving his birthright citizenship executive order.
The Supreme Court has delivered a monumental victory for the Constitution, the separation of powers, and the rule of law.
Now, the High Court's ruling limits district judges' ability to issue nationwide injunctions related to the effort to prohibit children born in the United States from automatically becoming citizens. He was at the White House speaking just last hour, the president praising the decision as it relates to the ability of district judges to issue injunctions against any executive order. Your weather for today, there could be more late-day showers and storms, says Channel 2 Action News meteorologist Brad Nitz. Otherwise, a mix of clouds and sun today and a high of 92. Atlanta police launch an investigation after a woman is tied up and robbed during a home invasion just off Northside Drive. The agency saying the woman was returning home to her apartment on Wells Street when the suspect forced his way into the door. The suspect tied the woman's hands and ankles using zip ties, then took off with jewelry and a camera. She was not injured. He fled the scene. Anybody with information being asked to call Crime Stoppers this afternoon. And this is new this half hour. A Flowery Branch man facing multiple counts of sexual exploitation of a child. 29-year-old Jason Robert Lucas arrested after investigators seized his cell phone and 2 electronic devices. The Hall County Sheriff's Office says Lucas was in possession of at least 10 images of minors engaged in sexually explicit activity. Additional charges are expected after forensic processing of those 2 devices. He is being held right now in the Hall County Jail without bond. Let's take a look at the markets. The Dow is currently up 569 at 43,956. So the Dow's up more than a full percent. Nasdaq's up more than 0.5%, and so is the S&P. It's 12:32.
It's Eric here, and with the election ended, there is change in the air. A new day dawns for American businesses. New regulations, new deregulation, new tax plan, new tax cuts. You may be smelling opportunity in the air. You may be seeing opportunity. Now is the time to consider reaching out to First Liberty Building and Loan and see if they might be able to help you put your plan that's in your head down to paper and see if they can help you capitalize on it. There are so many opportunities out there. If you need to borrow $750,000 or more, well, First Liberty might be able to help you. They make their own lending decisions. They've been doing it since the 90s. They know how to do it, and because the Frost family's been helping businesses since the 90s, they're still going to be there. You're not going to have lender rollover like you've had at other places. Reach out to them, firstlibertyga.com. firstlibertyga.com. Spend 10 minutes with them, see if you're a fit for them and them for you. firstlibertyga.com.
365 days a year, just call us up, we'll be right there. Our service is guaranteed. At Shoemate, we take great care. Our experts are always there for you and your family's needs. When your family just can't wait, you can always count on Shoemate.
Man's best friend. Loyal, trustworthy, dependable. Findlay Roofing is your roof's best friend. Loyal with a lifetime warranty, trustworthy with upfront pricing, and dependable with the highest quality work. FindlayRoofing.com.
What is All Care? All Care is expert urgent care and primary care under a single roof, offering convenience and continuity for your healthcare needs. All Care is a team of physicians and clinicians who know you and your medical history, so they can provide the personalized care you deserve. And with both family and immediate care services offered 7 days a week, All Care means seeing your doctor on your schedule. 15 convenient locations, same-day appointments, and walk-ins welcome. Remember, urgent care plus primary care equals All Care. Learn more at allcare-ga.com.
The guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate's the easiest way to sell your home. You can save time, make the most money, and eliminate the hassle this summer. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing.
All right, quickly, Alex Williams, how are we looking on the roads?
Travel advisory on the West Freeway. Crash 20 eastbound past Riverside Parkway, exit 46. Now just a center lane open, jammed out of Lithia Springs. Use Highway 78. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm Channel 2 Action News Chief Meteorologist Brad Nitz. Scattered showers and storms develop again this afternoon and evening. And where they develop, heavy rain, of course, cloud-to-ground lightning. But another threat for damaging wind gust and hail. These scattered storms continue into the evening. Will dry out overnight into Saturday morning down to 73. Afternoon storms return again tomorrow. Rain chance 60%, high 91.
More news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. 95.5 WSB.
Hello, welcome. Look, there are other decisions at the Supreme Court today that are just as monumental, but the meltdown over the Amy Coney Barrett decision today is remarkable. Let's go over to MSNBC, where assistant law professor Leah Littman is having a nervous breakdown.
I just want to note the Democratic appointees' strong dissents in this case. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson calls the court's decision an existential threat to the rule of law. Justice Sotomayor's dissent says no right is safe in the new legal regime the court creates. She calls the court complicit in a grave attack on our system of law. The reality is the Supreme Court's Republican justices took away lower courts' single powerful tool, the most powerful tool for reining in the Trump administration and holding them accountable to the law.
No, actually, they didn't. So first of all, I got to spend more time on this. So you got to understand it. They never even reached an issue on birthright citizenship. What was at stake here was the universal injunctions, and the Supreme Court sent it back, and they said there's another tool. They haven't precluded people being able to block presidents. What they've done is they said, you got to do a class action lawsuit. That's your remedy here, not universal injunctions. So this isn't actually as monumental a deal as everyone wants to make it out to be, because there are still remedies that the people who, example, could have their birthright citizenship impacted. But what it does do is it restrains the judges. It slows down the process as well. It does take longer to build and certify a class action lawsuit. But in this particular case, what the court is saying is that if someone's citizenship is contested because they were born here to illegal immigrants, it's that person's obligation to go to court. And a judge cannot say everyone in the country is protected. No, it's between parties. These are equitable cases. Law and equity are what is at stake here. And you got to understand the difference between the two. Very basic here for you. The law refers to, obviously, the system of the rule of law established by the government. Equity is a body of law that was developed to provide remedies when strict application of the law would lead to unfairness. So you have a system of law and a system of equity. And when the law itself would lead to an unfair outcome, an outcome that isn't necessarily intended by the law but is the outcome of the law, then you can file suits in equity. Equity refers to remedies involving civil law. Let me just read for you this definition here from Cornell Law School. It's easy to understand. In law, the term equity refers to a particular set of remedies and associated procedures involved with the law. These equitable doctrines are procedures as distinguished from legal ones. With legal remedies, there are monetary damages. With equitable relief, there are injunctions or specific performance. A court will usually award equitable remedies when a legal remedy is insufficient or inadequate. For example, courts will generally award equitable relief for a claim which involves a particular or a unique piece of real estate, or if the plaintiff requests specific performance. So if you're trying to get the government to actually perform in a certain way, your case is an equity case. If you're trying to get monetary damages under the law, that's a legal case. An equitable case is when you're trying to restrain the power of government, or you're trying to compel the government to act in a certain way, or you're trying to stop the government from doing something. That's an equity case. And the Federal Judiciary Act of 1789 that set up the judiciary makes clear a separation between cases of law and cases of equity and how the courts can behave. And as Justice Barrett writes today, if you go all the way back to before the Republic, what the courts did in establishing the judiciary in 1789 was they took the prior precedents of English common law and applied them. And so you can go all the way back to English common law and the way the kings of England operated and see, did they issue something that was akin to a universal injunction? And they did not. So when you fast forward then into the 1700s, you don't see the courts giving universal injunctions. As American law itself develops into the 1800s, before the Civil War, you don't see universal injunctions. After the Civil War, there's a defining point in American history, and it's the Civil War, where before the Civil War, we regularly referred to these United States of America. After the Civil War, we referred to the United States of America. Before the Civil War, we referred to it as the states of America. It was a confederation, or a federation, since the Confederates went with the Confederation. It was a federation of states, and they were sovereign entities that gave up limited powers. After the Civil War, where we established through blood that you cannot leave the Union once there, it became the United States of America. No longer individual countries ceding some power. We were one country with semi-sovereign states underneath. And after that happened, we did not see universal injunctions. And when you get into World War II and the Great Depression and the post-Lochner era and the New Deal and the switch in time that saved nine, where the Supreme Court flipped its opinions and became much more aggressive in asserting federal power, you did not see universal injunctions. You didn't see universal injunctions until you got to the 1960s, and you had very progressive Warren Court expanding federal power in every direction. And then you began to see lower courts say, oh, look, we're going to do a universal injunction. My court in Massachusetts is going to restrain the behavior of people in California. And they exploded. But they really took off during the second term of Donald Trump. It's something brand new in American jurisprudence. Sonia Sotomayor did her very best. It's very notable, by the way. Elena Kagan, while she signed on to the dissents, Elena Kagan didn't really speak up much. Kagan got herself today a big victory in FCC versus Consumer's Choice, which is a bad decision. And it was the minority. It was Gorsuch, Alito, and Thomas who dissented. In that case, they basically still continued to tamp down on the non-delegation authority of Congress. Essentially, non-delegation authority says that if something is singularly Congress's power, they can't delegate it. And the Supreme Court today said, yeah, they can within certain parameters. I think it was a bad case. What is otherwise notable today is that there were 6 cases, and the cases had a hodgepodge of justices involved. The 2 big cases were really the 3 big cases were the Supreme Court case out of Texas on Pornhub and pornography sites. This one, Trump versus CASA, and the case on religious education and religious exemption from education, which we're going to get to. That one's got to breathe a little bit because it's also a big case. So I want to deal with the Free Speech Consortium. What was it called? Let me get it right. Free Speech Coalition versus Paxson. This is a case out of Texas. A number of states have begun to prohibit the distribution of sexually explicit content to kids over the internet, requiring age verification. Let me read to you part of Justice Thomas's majority opinion, again 6-3. Texas, like many states, prohibits the distribution of sexually explicit content to children. But although that prohibition may be effective against brick-and-mortar stores, it has proved challenging to enforce against online content. In an effort to address the problem, Texas enacted a law which requires certain commercial websites that publish sexually explicit content to verify the ages of their visitors. This requirement furthers the lawful end of preventing children from accessing sexually explicit content. But it also burdens adult visitors of these websites who all agree have a First Amendment right to access at least some of the content that the websites publish. We granted cert to decide whether these burdens likely render Texas's law unconstitutional under the Free Speech Clause of the First Amendment. We hold they do not. The power to require age verification is within a state's authority to prevent children from accessing sexually explicit content. Texas's law is constitutionally permissible exercise of that authority. It is a 6-3 decision of the Supreme Court that to access pornographic sites, states can pass laws that require age verification of the content. Now, what the pornography websites argued is that that's an invasion of privacy. For you to have to verify your age to get on a pornographic website could violate your privacy. And the court concluded that if you go to a store that sells pornographic magazines, you are required to show your age in order to buy the pornographic magazines. There's no difference online. Petitioners assert that privacy concerns and the unique stigma surrounding pornography will make age verification too chilling for adults. But users only have to submit verification to the covered website itself or the third-party service with which the website contracts. Both those entities have every incentive to ensure users of their privacy. In any event, the use of pornography has always been the subject of social stigma. This social reality has never been a reason to exempt the pornography industry from otherwise valid regulations. And the decades-long history of some pornographic websites requiring age verification refutes any argument that the chill of verification is an insurmountable obstacle for users. Texas's law simply requires adults to verify their age before they can access speech that is obscene to children. It is therefore subject only to intermediate scrutiny, which it readily survives. The statute advances the state's important interest in shielding children from sexually explicit content. And it is appropriately tailored because it permits users to verify their ages through the established methods of providing government-issued identification and sharing transactional data. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals is affirmed. It's actually a reasonable case. If you got to show your ID to buy adult materials in a store, you should have to online. A number of states do this now. Louisiana does it. Texas does it. A number of others are doing it. There's a movement in the state of Georgia, the state of Virginia, and others. You know, in Virginia, actually, they started doing it. And in Virginia, Democrats campaigned on the issue of giving you access to pornography. That was actually a Democratic campaign. It did not work for the Democrats in Virginia. It turns out there is a growing concern, like with sports betting, with easy access to pornography in the country. And the movement has shifted away from it. It's wild that in this country, under previous Supreme Court jurisprudence, the regulation of political speech had more regulations on it than pornography. Political speech is what the First Amendment is supposed to be about, but the Supreme Court, through screwed up precedents and progressive justices over time, allowed more regulation of political speech than access to pornography, and the conservatives have set the balance right. For people who want access to pornography, in some states like California, you'll be able to have easy access to it, but in other states, it is a parental interest to make it harder for kids to get access to obscene material online, and the court struck a good balance here, I think. Now, when we come back, we've got to get into the other cases from the Supreme Court. There's a big case from the Supreme Court today that affirms a parent's right to oversee the education of their children, even in public school. We also need to talk a little bit about overreach of the courts. Before we get there, though, with with all these decisions today and with the financial issues out there, I got to let you know Swiss America is warning you about the secret war on cash. Interest rates are still high. There's actually some inflation data out there that looks like the Fed may pause and not reduce interest rates next month. It's kind of conflicting data. Swiss America has been warning people about this. They've been the trusted leader in precious metals in this country for 40 years. If you're interested in safeguarding your hard-earned cash from the war on cash, you need to get their free report. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau, and they can educate you on protecting your assets. The report takes less than 15 minutes to read. It's completely free. It can save on your retirement and finances. You can get a free copy by calling or texting 800-289-2646. The all-out war on cash, digital currencies are included. It's spreading. Get the secret war on cash report. It's completely free. What do you have to lose? Just call or text my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 800-289-2646. You just text the number 800-289-2646, my name, Eric. They'll send you a link. You can get the secret war on cash report completely free. You can call them if you don't want to do it online, 800-289-2646. You can also go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric. That's SwissAmerica.com/ERICK. The report is free, 800-289-2646. Let Swiss America help you. Message and data rates may apply.
Honest.
Putting your trust in me to tell you what's going on.
Transparent.
I need you to know this from the bottom of my heart.
Giving you the information without the noise.
My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear, it's to tell you the truth.
It's the Eric Erickson Show.
1250 Cool Day Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Crash still blocking the left lane. The two right lanes are back open here in Cobb County. 20 eastbound past Riverside Parkway exit 46, but still a rough ride out of Lithia Springs. Earlier crash over into Cab on the I-20 eastbound collector distributor ramp between 285 and Wesley Chapel. That has since cleared, all lanes open. 75 northbound on and off the brakes through Marietta into Kennesaw from Windy Hill Road up to Chastain Road. Traffic brought to you by Echo Park Speedway. Experience the Quaker State 400 available at Walmart Saturday, June 28th, under the lights in Atlanta. Get your tickets now at echoparkspeedway.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Where you going is a given. How you're getting there?
Well, that's the question.
We will start to see some delays if they shut that ramp down on 285 East.
Before you hit the navigation
You're going to be slowing right around Hudson Bridge Road.
Listen to the people you can trust.
And really slow out of Ackworth into Emerson.
Updated traffic as often as you need it every time you listen.
We had a lot going on this morning through Henry County.
More experience, more reliable, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, triple team traffic.
95.5 WSB. How Atlanta gets there.
Every year for the 4th of July, my family invites over friends, and I get a big box of burgers and Franks from Omaha Steaks, and we grill out. It's going to be the same this year. Right now, for the 4th of July sale, you can get 50% off site-wide at Omaha Steaks. Just like me, I don't get a special. I take the discount as well, and you can use the promo code ERIC at checkout and get an extra $45 off. So it's already 50% off site-wide, and then you put in ERIC as your promo code, and you get $45 extra off, minimum order required. You get unparalleled quality from Omaha Steaks. It's deliciousness. Get the burgers, get the gourmet jumbo franks. You can get the sides, everything you need. You can even get steaks. We do this every year. It's become a family tradition. Start your own family tradition with Omaha Steaks. Again, 50% off site-wide right now. And if you go to omahasteaks.com with the 50% off site-wide, you get an extra $45 off if you use ERIC, E-R-I-C-K, at checkout. omahasteaks.com.
Rates are up, rates are down. Every day it's something different. If you're curious about what's going on and when the best time will be to buy or refinance your home, call the experts I trust at Myland. This is Scott Slade. There's a reason the guys and gals at Myland are able to close loans that other local banks just can't. The folks at Myland are local and somebody you can trust to make sure you get the best loan for your needs at the best rate. You don't have to take my word for it. Here are lines from some recent testimonials. Myland kept me up to date and informed with every step of the way. They make you feel like you're one of the most important clients they have. Myland specializes in home financing, and they've seen it all. So whether you want to access the equity in your home to pay for other debts, buy a new home, or anything else, Myland is the place to call. 770-817-2000. That's 770-817-2000. Or online, it's myland.com. Spelled it M-I-L-E-N-D. NMLS and Georgia Mortgage License C148769. Myland's located at 8995 Westside Parkway, Alpharetta, Georgia 30009. Myland is an equal housing lender.
WSB Atlanta, WSB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is heating up outdoors and summer fun is just getting started. And you know what? I bet it'll get warmer before it gets cooler. And you know the best part about hot weather is walking into a cool, comfortable house. Dave Baker here for Coolray Heating and Cooling, Plumbing and Electrical. Don't let AC problems ruin your summer. Let Coolray tune up your air conditioner now. Ooh, are you thinking about a new, more efficient HVAC system? Coolray is offering up to $2,250 in rebates and free installation with the purchase of a complete home carrier system. And don't forget, Coolray is your one-stop shop when it comes to plumbing and electrical service too. Brightbox Electrical and Mr. Plumber are both Coolray companies, so they've got all your electrical, plumbing, and HVAC needs covered. Ready to stay cool for the summer? Visit Coolray.com to book your appointment today. It's easy. No phone calls, no waiting on hold. Book the time and day that works best for you. Coolray and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. This hour of the program is brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan. If you are growing your business and you need access to capital, First Liberty can help you. FirstLibertyGA.com is their website, FirstLibertyGA.com. If you're buying a franchise, if you need heavy equipment, you need $75,000 or more, First Liberty, they can move quick. If you got good credit, they love helping businesses grow. FirstLibertyGA.com. My buddy John Podhoretz noted that we have had two major uses of bunker buster bombs this week dropped. We started on Saturday with bunker buster bombs being dropped in Iraq, and we ended the week today with bunker buster bombs being dropped on Ketanji Brown Jackson by Amy Coney Barrett. Oh my goodness gracious! What a it just the beatdown. Is got to, and I noted as well. So a lot of the dissenting justices say I respectfully dissent. Ketanji Brown Jackson didn't even bother to say respectfully, just I dissent, and that's fine. We don't care. She is a dimwit. I don't care that she's on the Supreme Court. I don't care that she became a federal judge. Joe Biden said he was picking her because she was a black female. That was the primary qualification for Ketanji Brown Jackson being on the Supreme Court. And if you are offended by me saying it, you should blame Joe Biden and the Democrats' use of affirmative action that casts doubt on non-white people and their competence by giving them preferential treatment in affirmative action. The reality is Clarence Thomas is a brilliant jurist, and he happens to be black. Ketanji Brown Jackson is a dimwit, and she just happens to be black. And it's just shameful that Joe Biden decided that putting competence ahead of everything else was irrelevant. He needed to put race and sex ahead of competence. There actually are other non-white progressive jurists on the federal bench who are smarter than Ketanji Brown Jackson, but Joe Biden felt like he needed to put her there because black women in South Carolina carried across the finish line in the Democratic primary in 2020. And there were plenty of others he could have picked who were not white and who were female, who were better jurists. And we got to bend over backwards and treat her as some sort of genius. And it was great to see Amy Coney Barrett having none of it today. What's so funny about this is that just a few weeks ago in the New York Times, they tried to tell their readers that actually Amy Coney Barrett is one of us. She's moved to the left. the bullying of the right has moved her now. And it was like a week later that she came out and said, yeah, trans people are not a protected class under the Constitution. Sorry. I mean, I could have told you where she was going to go. And all you MAGA people who hated her, well, she's been very predictable. She's a conservative, but she doesn't rush into decisions. And she doesn't think you should rush into decisions. And you should take your time. And if you understand that about her jurisprudence, that she believes the judiciary should move slowly, you can pretty much chart a course for where she's going to go. Now, when we come back, I have to tell you that Justice Alito gave the other really big win in the Supreme Court today, and it too has progressives absolutely melting down. I mean, massive meltdown of the left happening over this decision. The title of the case is Mahmoud versus Taylor, and it's about whether or not parents can pull their kids out of a class when they're about to see gay porn. And yeah, turns out they can, which should be obvious to everyone, but it wasn't to the political left. And now they're very unhappy that they cannot indoctrinate your kids on trans issues in public schools.
He's the guy at the desk next to you.
Why do you always go after the game show
For 20
host
years,
The Price is
American
Right?
prosperity has been on the front lines, taking on the radical left and delivering conservative victories.
Or anyone
AFP's
else.
grassroots army is made up of millions of
95.5
concerned citizens
WSB,
like you.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. If you're over 50 and tired of your wireless bill getting higher and higher, there are 4 things to consider. 1, how much data are you really using? As we get older, we use less data on our wireless phone, but you're probably still paying for an unlimited plan that was designed for 20-somethings. 2, if you see Get a Phone on Us, get your sneakers out and run the other way. No one is giving you a free phone. You are paying for that phone over time with an overpriced rate plan and a long-term commitment. 3, check the fine print on that $15 a month plan. It's probably an intro price that'll double or triple later. You might even have to pay for several months of service up front. Number 4, be aware of cable company wireless plans. Most of your usage will be on Wi-Fi instead of 5G, and your calls and battery life could suffer. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide service without the big wireless bill. Our plans start at just $20 a month.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
News, weather,
Traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. The nation's highest court making some major rulings today, and the president reacts.
CBS News special report. President Trump just wrapped up a wide-ranging news conference after several Supreme Court rulings. He says Iran wants to hold talks after the U.S. attacked its nuclear facilities.
I don't believe that they're going to go back into nuclear anytime soon. They spent over $1 trillion on nuclear, and they never got it together. And nothing was moved from the site, by the way. To do that is very dangerous. It's very, very heavy material.
Trump expects Iran to allow nuclear inspectors in. The news conference began with Trump touting the Supreme Court decision that individual judges cannot block his executive orders, like the one banning birthright citizenship. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
If there's a birthright citizenship case in Oregon, it will only affect the plaintiff in Oregon, not the entire country. So yes, it's indirectly, but that's pending litigation, and we're waiting on that in the next term.
The court also ruled Maryland parents can pull their kids from school lessons with LGBTQ materials. CBS News special report. I'm Michael Wallace.
Your weather for today, a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 92. Another chance of those late day showers and storms, says Channel 2 Action News meteorologist Brad Nitz. He'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. A pedestrian is hit and killed, and police are now searching for 2 people who took off from the scene.
Police were called to the 2100 block of Peachtree Road in front of Piedmont Hospital, where they found a man lying in the roadway. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The report indicates the driver of a white Nissan Maxima did not stop, but did pull into a parking lot several blocks away. According to witnesses, the man driving took off on foot, as did a woman riding with him. Police are now actively looking for them and also reviewing camera footage in the area. Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta police launching an investigation this afternoon after a woman was tied up and robbed during a home invasion. This was off Northside Drive. The agency saying the woman was returning home to her apartment. This is on Wells Street when the suspect forced his way in her door. The woman was tied up, tied her hands and ankles up using zip ties, then stole jewelry and a camera. She was not injured. The suspect took off on foot. Anybody with information being asked to call Crime Stoppers. The FDA is requiring 2 common COVID-19 vaccines now to update their warning labels. The new information on 2 rare heart side effects, inflammation of the heart muscle and inflammation of the thin sac surrounding the heart, will need to be included now on the labels. The updated warnings will now feature information on how the conditions have been seen most commonly in boys ages 12 and older and young men as old as 24. It's 102.
Summer is peak hosting season, right? Don't let a grimy house keep you from having company over. It's Chris Chandler, and Wise Guys Pro Wash got my place clean and bright and guest ready in just one day. They handle everything, house and deck, driveway, even my dirty roof, and their soft wash kept everything safe. No paint peel, no damage, just clean. If you got people coming over this summer, be sure Wise Guys Pro Wash comes by first. Mention me, Chris Chandler, for $70 off at wiseguysprowash.com. Book now before they fill up.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are 2 very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call 404-390-4000. That's 404-390-4000.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Homeowners, don't trust Mac with a Jack to fix your home sinking foundation problems. Serious issues need the serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Go to ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
Is your summer vacation going to be a week at the beach or a week in the backyard standing in the kiddie pool?
If you listen to 95.5 WSB, that week at the beach could be yours. It's $1,000 Thursdays on WSB.
Your chance to win $1,000 every hour between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. on Thursdays.
Listen for the keyword. Enter the keyword at WSBradio.com or on the WSB app within that hour.
Get all the info at WSBradio.com.
$1,000 Thursdays next Thursday.
95.5 WSB.
Where Atlanta wins.
Time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Crash has been lingering for far too long in the left lane over on the west side, and it's still there. 20 eastbound past Riverside Parkway, exit 46. You're slow almost back to Lee Road. You can use Highway 78 if you want to avoid that. Just found a new crash in Tucker. It is in the center lane, 285 southbound, the inner loop, North Lake Parkway, exit 36. And downtown, it's getting slower southbound from the 85-400 merge, trying to get into Midtown past 17th Street. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm Channel 2 Action News Chief Meteorologist